Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Miracle Mindset Push-Ups, lesson number 8, Self-Awareness Through Questioning. So we're going to dive right into this topic. We have a belief, and everyone does in some way, shape, or form, that we have two selves within us, or even multiple selves within us. So we have our spirit self, the truth of who we are, and then we have our egoic self. And the thing about the ego is it then kind of divides itself and says, okay, well, here's the main ego idea. Okay, now here's ego idea A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. And it may do that for different situations, being with different people. Oh, I have to be this way with this person. I have to be this way in this situation. And so that's something that the ego will do. It'll kind of continue to separate itself into different aspects or different parts. Now, really only one of those selves is true. So either it's the ego and all its multitude of different aspects, or it is the one self in which the divine created. And that's the one that is true, the divine creation that we are. And the divine created us whole, pure, perfect, protected, provided for, eternally joyful, eternally happy, eternally in unconditional love, and eternally in communication and oneness with our Creator, with God Himself. That is the truth of who we are. However, what we have done is we've placed that ego mask over that truth, and we've said, well, no, this is who I am. This amalgamation of different qualities and so forth and so on. Like we've kind of made that personality self. And we've said, okay, this personality self, this is the truth of who I am. And really, the personality self is just the ego. That's all it is. And we know that the ego is not true. It is a falsity that we created to cover over the truth of who we are. And so how do we become more self-aware? Well, the way that I see this self-awareness is we're becoming more aware of our true selves. That's how I kind of like to look at self-awareness. So I'm looking at whatever may come up for me. Maybe I'm upset, maybe I'm frustrated, maybe I'm sad. And all of those are okay. This process is not to deny your emotions. It's not to bypass your emotions. It's not to suppress your emotions. It's not to spiritually bypass them. It is simply to make you aware of where those emotions are coming from. And so what we begin to do is we begin to question it. And we question God 24/7, 365. But really ask yourself and be honest. How much do you question your ego when it says something? How much do you really question it? We don't. And that's what this process helps us to begin to do. It helps us to begin to question the illusion of the ego and begin to look more at the truth of who we are. And so we begin that process first by recognizing, once again, the divine creation that we are is wholly loving, wholly joyous, wholly whole, wholly eternal, happy, joyful, loving, caring. And when we are not feeling those, even the Course in Miracles actually says like the slightest frown, you can be assured that you've kind of put on that mask of ego. Once again, this is not to use to judge yourself. It is simply used to bring awareness and saying, okay, so I've put on this ego mask. So we ask the question, who is the I? So who is the I that's feeling frustrated? Who is the I that's feeling sad? Who is the I that's feeling upset? So we ask that question in order to see who is the I that we are currently embodying. So are we embodying the ego self, the mask, the false perception of who we are? Or are we embodying the truth of who we are, the love, the light, the joy, the happiness? Which one are we embodying? So we just ask that question, who is the I? Then from that question, after we've identified who is the I that is upset, who is the I that is hurt, then we can say, okay, from this emotional perspective, Like, why is this I so hurt? And we can actually begin to kind of see the thoughts, and the thoughts then lead us to the belief. And right there is that core. That's where all of this beautiful work can take us. It can take us to that belief. Okay, why am I believing this? About this hurt, about this emotional upset, about this anger or frustration, sadness, anxiety, whatever it is. Why am I believing that? Well, here's the core belief. Then we can begin to hand that belief. If we don't want that anymore, we have to be willing first to let go of the value that we have for that belief and hand that belief, whatever it may be, over to spirit, because that is spirit's job. Its job is the correction of our minds so that we can return, so that we can remember our true identity past all the masks that we pretend to wear. And so that's where we can really go with this process. Another thing that you can begin to do with this process, and once again, not to use it to spiritual bypass, not to use it to deny, repress your emotions. It's only for awareness. But what we can do is we can really ask ourselves, did whatever this person said, did whatever this person that they did it affect the truth of who I am? Did it alter my state of light? And the answer is always going to be no. Now, the ego says, oh, well, you better believe that, they did this and so forth and so on, and that it affected me, that it changed me. Nothing can change the essential essence of who you are. Nothing can change the light that you are. The ego is going to get triggered by things. It's going to be offended by things. And once again, it's not to judge ourselves for the offenses that the ego takes. It's simply to become aware of them. And as we become aware of them, we can really ask ourselves, is this what I want? Do I want to continue to believe this? Do I want to continue to be triggered by this? And then if we say no, then we can start looking at the thoughts. Then from the thoughts, we can look at the belief that is behind it, that is really driving that. And we can be willing to give that belief over. And so I want to give you a personal parable about this, because I believe that, firsthand experience is always the best example that we can use. And so there was a time when, it was, I think, my second year of really studying A Course in Miracles. And I had someone tell me that they believed that the Course in Miracles was false light or wasn't real, or basically that they just didn't like it. And I remember I was so upset. I was angry. I was disappointed. I was all of these different things, like all these emotions came out. And I could have answered in that moment and been like, and typed away. But I was like, hold up. Let's take a breath. And I remembered this. I was like, okay, who is the I that is upset? Well, it's the ego. Why is this I so upset? Well, because they seem to be telling me that, this spiritual text that I have been following isn't real. Then there was an even further belief there that I was able to uncover. And that further belief was that not only, they were attacking me, because I had associated myself so much with the Course. They weren't attacking the book. They were attacking me. And were they attacking me? No. They were simply voicing their opinion about a specific text. That text is not me. The Course in Miracles is not me. It is a book that I study, and I take with me the belief system that it sets forth. But the book itself doesn't need my protection. Doesn't need my protection. Doesn't need me to defend it. You don't believe in it? That's okay. I'm not here to defend it. I'm not here to tell you that you should. I can only be here to share what I know. And so in doing that process and saying, who is the I was able to, instead of, have that instant gut reaction and, type from that space, I was able to take that step back and instead respond, which was exactly what needed to happen. That person needed a response. They didn't need a reaction. And so that's what I gave. And so I love that as I'm talking about this right now, I look out the window and there's a beautiful hummingbird. And for those of you that are familiar with symbolism, the hummingbird represents celebration. So I take that as the divine, kind of giving us that symbol of, yes, let us celebrate when we can really step back in to the truth of who we are, when we can allow ourselves to let the truth of who we are respond to something instead of the false identity that we believe that we are react to something. Now, once again, it takes practice, it takes awareness, it takes mindfulness to do this practice. And I'm not going to tell you to do it all day, every day. Ramana Maharshi was actually the person that I believe developed this. And, yes, he did it every day. That was his, wonderful path. But you're just starting, just like I'm still just starting. So I would recommend either doing this for like one day if you get upset, if you get angry, if the slightest frown comes to your face, asking yourself, who is the I that is feeling this? Or who is the, or if you want to, you don't have to say feeling this. Who is the I that is anxious right now? Who is the I that is upset right now? Who is the I that is hurting right now? And then why is this I hurting? Writing down those thoughts, getting to that core belief. And even if you can just come up with the thoughts, that's okay. Be willing to hand those thoughts over to spirit as well, because spirit will take anything that you give it and it will always correct it if you are willing to let go of the value that you have for that thought. And so let's talk a little bit about that as well, letting go of the value for something. So let's say that you, and once again, just a kind of a real life example, let's say that this pin right here no longer writes, am I going to keep it? Let's say it's a non-refillable, like I can't refill it, I can't fix it, like it's just a dead pin. It's not serving me, but yet it's sitting on my desk. Just sitting there, it's not doing anything else, just sitting. Am I going to keep it? No, I would throw it away. Now, let's add a little value to it though. Let's say that this pin was given to me by Marianne Williamson. Let's say she signed, she signed A Course in Miracles with this pin. And then she gave me the pin and the Course in Miracles. Let's just say that's an example. And so then let's say this pin dries out. Well, there may be a hesitation to throw the pin away, even though it doesn't work anymore, because there is still a value that I'm holding. I mean, Marianne Williamson gave this to me. Like, how could I throw this away? If I throw this away, I'm throwing away maybe her attention, maybe her love, maybe the sense of the gift that was given to me. But once again, the object or the idea does not hold value. This pin holds no value. Regardless if it's given to me by Marianne Williamson, David Hoffmeister, Sonia Choquette, like whoever gave me this pin, the pin itself holds no value. It's just a pin. It's the value that I place on it that then gives the pin value. And it's the same thing for our thoughts. If we give a thought a value and we're saying, well, this is a very helpful thought, or this thought I can't let go of because, my mother told it to me when I was 5 years old, then spirit can't take that from us, because spirit cannot take from you what you are not willing to give over wholly and completely. If you're willing to give it over wholly and completely, thumbs up, spirit will take it from you and heal it for you. That's another big misconception. We're not the healers. We are merely there to ask for the healing. That's it. So I thank you for joining me. I thank you for being here. If you're interested in about working more with me or finding out more about me and my mentorship, then you can go visit my website in the link below.